Okay, this is going to be a quick video on the new database manager, more of a guide how to use it and a demo. So in the app data roaming OpenHPSDR Thetis x64 folder, which is there on my computer, we've got the database.xml, and we're all used to that. That holds all your settings and status and everything. So what we'll do, we'll just shove that over there on the screen so we can keep an eye on this, and we'll start up Thetis. And what's going to happen, you'll notice that it renames to old, and a database folder got created, and Thetis will start up like it normally does. We shall hide that meter for now. But as you can see, it's changed to old, and we've got this new folder structure called DB. In here we've got some settings which store which of these folders is currently in use. And inside the folder we've got the old database XML, some more settings which is managed by Thetis, and then any backups we might have made in there as well. So that's the new structure. So we'll flip to this, and setup has changed. So we hit setup and we get a drop down now. It doesn't take us straight in. So to get into setup, we would just click on setup as normal, and this is the normal setup. We've lost the open database folder there, plus the three buttons that used to be down here: reset, import and export. Those have all gone. And instead we've got database manager, and in there, if we bring that up, we get to see this, which is everything about the database and any backups we've made for this database. So this is the currently active one, which is signified by the tick, and it was the one that just got imported into the system as we started up this new version, work in progress 3B, which has the new database manager. So what we can do, we can highlight it, and we can change the description for the selected database. So we'll change the name of it here to main. So we've now given that a main, and we can see how old it is. It's only 2 minutes old because it only just made it. That was when it was last changed. We can see the version in there, and we can see where it's located. Excuse me a moment, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, that needed that. Okay, so there's the folder, and we got some info about it as well there. So what else can we do with this new database manager? So we can do things like, even if you haven't got it selected, we can use this button here, take a backup now of the active database. So as I say, the one with the blue tick is the active one. We can do that. That's taken a backup of it. We don't see it here because nothing is selected, but if we select it, we see that a backup has happened. We can see that happen now if we do another one. So we've taken one there, 0 seconds old. Take another one, so that one's 6 seconds old now. I haven't bothered updating these permanently because if you had lots of backups, it would just be crazy. You can resize this to see more info, and you can do things like highlight a backup, remove a backup here, remove the selected backup, or you can export it to a file, or you can make the selected backup available, so it will copy it from here up here, and then you can activate it. So we'll do that in a moment, but first off, what we're going to do is create a fresh new blank database. So we can hit this button here, new database, and we can give it a description, new DB, or whatever you want to call it. And there it is. It's set up. It's not very old, and it is of type Hermes. So what we can do, we can highlight it, and we can use this top button, make the database active. Now it's worth highlighting over these buttons which are available. You don't get any tooltips for the disabled buttons, but you can see what everything does. New database, remove a database, duplicate, take a backup now, import into the active database. Some toggle options, so we'll talk about those in a minute, the up and down arrows. Export a database, rename, which we can do, so we can get rid of the DB bit and change it to new, and open a folder for the selected database. So we can highlight that, and we can go click on there, and we get the folder that everything's in. So let's make this active. So we would highlight it, and we would just click on this make active. Do you want to make the database active? This will cause Thetis to restart. Yes. Thetis shuts down and starts back up automatically. You don't need to do anything. And lo and behold, we've now got a fresh, brand spanking new database. We can go back into the database manager, and we can see that we're now active on this Hermes one, and it's very small because it hasn't yet done any saving to the database. We can go into setup, change the radio type, of course, and the country, and your IPs and stuff you could do. If we go back into database manager now, we see that it's changed to the relevant hardware, and the size has increased slightly because we hit OK and it's saved out. So that's essentially how you can have multiple databases with all different settings, and we can just flip to this one. You can see the backups that have been made that we did. So what we'll do, we'll make this active, that original one. And whilst it's doing that, I'll take this moment to plug a new server that we set up. So we set up a Discord server for Thetis SDR and everything interested in Thetis, and we've got some testing rooms and all sorts of chat, development, bugs, and all sorts of stuff like that, help, support, screenshots, you name it. It's on here. There's chat channels and all sorts of stuff like that, voice and things. So yeah, it's been quite active and pretty good. I'll put a link on the screen now, and I'll put a link in the description which you can click on, and that'll set you up with an invite and everything to join. We've got testing on there, so we have a special testing channel where there are early release builds and exes that people can test out and give feedback on, and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, it's pretty good, and only been running for a few days. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to join and say hello. That would be pretty cool. Anyway, back to this DB Manager intro. So we can go back into the database manager. Now, one thing I should mention, if your radio is on, obviously doing things to the database would be a bad idea. So comes up with that message to say turn your radio off. And likewise, if you've got setup open and you go into the database manager, try again, close the setup window. So this is modal, so you can't click anywhere in the software when this is displayed. So yeah, so we can do things as well. So you've got a nice working database there. You could create a duplicate of it just by clicking on that button, dupe. So we've made an exact copy of it, same size, and there it is. We also duplicate the backups, so you know, it keeps all that information as well. And if you've got lots of backups in there, you can, of course, this sorted on age. you can highlight a couple of them or just one and delete it, or you can highlight 20 and delete 20 or more. And like I say, you can recover. So we did that earlier, didn't we? We recovered one just by clicking on it and then clicking this button, make a recovery, make the selected backup available, which brings it into the list like that. So there's that backup, and if we look at it, there's no backups on that when you recover it. So that's how that works, and we can delete that one as we don't need it, but you've got to use, like I say, the description name to be able to delete it, and I did that so you don't actually click delete on something and it nukes your database that you didn't want to. So you've got to they've got to match before it will actually remove. So that's that. What else can it do? It's got these options here: startup, backup. So do a backup on startup, do a backup on shutdown. So if we switch that on for this active database, which like I say is the blue one, start backup. So we've got one backup in there already. Let's toggle this, toggle backup on startup. So that's now doing that. So if we shut Thetis down and we start it back up, we should see 2 backups in there against that available database. So we hit on this. So now we've got a backup, and that was made 12 seconds ago, whereas the one before that was 7 minutes odd ago. And likewise, you can do one on shutdown. You can do either or you can do both or none, and just use this system here, which is click on that, makes a backup at the point in time when you click it. So that's that. So you can just double, click these to toggle them off and on. And of course, you can do that for the databases that are not in use as well. So when you actually use them, it will do that activity. Like I say, got export, rename, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it covered. That number up there is the 210.3 of the version, and that is what the system compares against when it starts up. So you can see the version number of the database matches, so it won't complain. But what we can do, we can simulate an old database. So let's shut down. I'll show you what happens if we go to that folder again, which is there, roaming. I'll just delete all this, and I'll rename that database. So this is simulating a very old version of Thetis that you've uninstalled it, and you just installed the new version of the software which has this database manager in. So we'll say okay, it was 2.10.1 the database. So if we now, I'll move that over there so you can see what happens. Again, if we now start it up, we get this message. This version 2.10.3 of Thetis requires your database, which is 2.10.1, to be updated. New updated database will be created and your old database merged with it. It will be made active. So we hit OK. And if there was an issue, like that was a corrupted old database or whatever, it will recover from that and create a blank one. And we can do that test as well. The database was completed, so we can hit OK, and it just starts up, which is a lot different to the process where you had to shut down, restart the thing, and do all that sort of stuff. So that has now updated the database. Let's just hide this again so we're not distracted by that. And if we now go into the database manager, you can see that it's created this new one that is only 40 seconds old. And the one it came from, which was new to it as well, which it tried to load and it realized it was an out-of-date version. It then decided to upgrade it and it's made this. So if we look at the version numbers, you can see there's a version 2.10.3 which matches what we're running, and that old one which is out of date. Now if you had a bunch of those old ones stored in here, you can make active here, and when it restarts it would then say it's out of date. So we can simulate that. So let's rename this one first try. So what we'll do, we'll recover this old one. We'll make active that old one. And we will see exactly the same thing happen when Thetis starts up. See, it says it's out of date and needs to update it, which it will do. And then when we look at the DB manager, it'll be updated to 2.10.3 and it will be the active one. So, yeah, let's get rid of that yet again. Setup, database manager, and there it is. So we're back to 2.10.3. So yeah, it'll cope with all that. We can scrap that one, and we can scrap that one. First try. Oops, it's a lowercase t on the try. So yeah, it's pretty flexible, and it allows backups and whatnot and everything to be managed with the databases from here. It will do things like start a fresh database if there's a problem. So you can do things like, let's shut down again. Say you've got a corrupt database and weird things are going on, or you just want to restart. You can hold shift down. So I'm holding shift now. Then I click Thetis here. And this comes up, the database reset function has been triggered. Would you like to use a fresh new one? Your existing database will be untouched and a new one will be used. It will have the description default in the database manager. So we'll say yes to this. And we should see a new one. Now we can get rid of, so we've got a fresh blank database, and we go into database manager and the old default one is now there, and we're back on Hermes, so we can switch back to this one. And we can do another test. So there's another test which there are cases that if I make an update to the database structure, but I don't want to make a release which causes it to automatically update, there have been times when we've needed to hold control down. So I'm holding left control right now. So the database force update has been triggered. Do you want to do this? Yes. Control key force DB update. This version 2.3 will be updated to 2.3 because we forced it to do it. And that will just go ahead like that. It will also do things like detect broken databases. So if we go into DB, let's just, I'm not entirely sure which ones we're using now. We'll just delete everything bar one, and I'll break it. So if we go setup, database manager, I'll get rid of this one. So that's default. And we'll also get rid of this one, default. Oops. And you can see them disappearing there. And we'll shut down. So we've only got the one left. What I'm going to do now is break the database. Say I've come in here and I've made some sort of adjustment to this, and it's caused an issue which is preventing Thetis from loading. Just some craziness happening, which, you know, this is extreme, but it's just to give you an idea. I'll save that out with Control S, shut that down. And what I'll do now, I'll start Thetis. We'll go back to this DB folder. Actually, we'll go to this folder, DB, and we'll start Thetis now with this broken database. There is an issue loading the database. The database has been moved to, and it gives you the path here in case you want to recover it and try and fix your problem. So it moves it into this broken folder in the DB structure. We can hit OK, and what happens then is it essentially Thetis shuts down. So you start it up again, so that would allow you to fix or do whatever, and then you could move it back into there after you've fixed it and that sort of thing. So essentially I started Thetis back up then, and it created a blank fresh one. You can do things like, we'll do an import here as well. So we're on this blank one that it's just created, but I'll go import, and you don't need to highlight that incidentally because it imports into the active, so be wary of that. I will import my original database into this blank one that's just happened. We'll see how it deals with that. Get rid of that. And there it is. So we've essentially imported that database back into that one that it recovered to, and we're good to go again. So yeah, pretty much every eventuality has been handled now with this. And of course we can take a backup now, and it's stored there, and nothing happens to these. Unless, of course, you actually delete the database that they belong to, because it will have, 10 backups on that one, and if you've got other databases, you might have 1 or 2 backups on that database, etc. So there we are. That's all the stuff with Database Manager. And like I say, if you're interested in coming across onto Discord to say hello and keep track of what's going on, you can join the testing team on there and get updates on testing and various things. And yeah, it's turning out quite good on there. So there we are. Okay, well, hopefully you've learned something off that Database Manager video. Of course, there's been quite a lot of changes with Thetis and improvements over the last couple of weeks. I am aiming to get a release of this Database Manager out this weekend. It's now Friday. It's just flipped over to Saturday. I am hoping to get a release done, but I would like a few more testers to test it before there's potential for destroying everybody's database. But it only gets renamed, like I mentioned, to old DB in here. Incidentally, if you've got something called old DB, it will append numbers on the end until it can write it. So that's not an issue. Okay, there we are. Okay, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.